Hey guys, ZZ Coasters here. Kings Island is known for their very large collection of roller coasters, and today we're going to be counting down all of them and ranking them to see which of them are the best. This is a remake of a video I made as my very first ever video, and my rankings have changed, so I hope you guys are excited to see them. Let's get right into the video. Just a quick note before we start. The Great Pumpkin Coaster will not be on this list, as it's the only coaster at Kings Island I haven't ridden due to the maximum height requirement. Coming in at last place, number 13 is Flying Ace Aerial Chase, the Vekoma Kitty inverted coaster. This coaster is very bad. It's one of the roughest family coasters I've ever experienced, and the jank and the bulky over-the-shoulder restraints combine for a lot of uncomfortable headbanging that's more rough than it is at all fun, because the layout doesn't really have anything to it other than some small drops and turns. Overall, I would not recommend this ride to anyone, and I don't enjoy it at all. It's really the only coaster at Kings Island that can be described as a bad ride. Coming up next, number 12 is another Planet Snoopy coaster, Woodstock Express. This was an original coaster that opened with the park, and it's a great ride still. It's a small John C. Allen wooden coaster similar to the Racer in design, but much smaller. It does have some good airtime on some of the hills and is just a fun experience overall. The drop has a little pop-up floater in the back, and it's a great ride for kids and families, which is why I put it above Flying Ace Aerial Chase. Coming in at number 11 is Adventure Express. Previously, I might have put this under Woodstock Express, as it is quite janky and rough. However, with the addition of the new theming this year, I think that bumps it up to number 11. This coaster is quite janky, but it is a fun and out-of-control ride experience, and the new theming is very good, and there's always a cool piece of theming to be looking at while you're on the ride. It's not the most extreme ride, but it's a well-themed ride that fits into the new Adventure Port themed area very well. The new queue is also really good, and some of the new things that seem to be pointing towards Son of Beast have me excited for a possible future addition to the park. Overall, this is a fun family ride, and that's why it's at number 11 on the list. Coming in at number 10, we have the park's family launch coaster, Backlot Stunt Coaster. This is a clone coaster that can be found at a few other Cedar Fair parks, but this is the only one that I've been on. This coaster is mostly a family coaster, except for the first launch and helix, which is a very intense experience, especially for a family coaster. The first launch has more power to it than you would expect from a family coaster, and the helix at the beginning is very intense positive G's, and the whip into the helix out of the launch is some great whip, which is definitely not what you would expect from a typical family coaster. The special effects and indoor sections are fun, which is why this kicks it as the best family coaster at Kings Island. Coming in at number 9, we have the Bat. The Bat is an arrow swinging suspended coaster that is very fun. The swinging action adds a nice little element to it, and this ride is just a very fun ride. It's not the biggest or scariest coaster at the park, but it has some good forces, especially on the helix near the end. This coaster is pretty short, but overall is a very fun ride, and definitely is not one to skip when you head to the park. Coming in at number 8, we have the Racer. The Racer is the Kings Island original large wooden coaster, and it has two separate tracks, the red side and the blue side. Currently, the ride isn't super rough, but if you can, make sure to try to sit in the middle of the car, as those seats aren't on wheels and is a much smoother ride experience when you're not on a wheel seat. The ride has some good airtime on the first drop and the 2 hills after it. I didn't notice a lot of airtime on the rest of the ride, although it's still a fun wooden coaster. It has a little bit of roughness to it, but not so much that it takes away from the ride experience. Overall, this is a great little wooden coaster, which is why it still holds up at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is the park's inverted boomerang, Invertigo. This ride offers a very fun experience with you taking the layout forwards and then backwards, or backwards and then forwards, depending on the seats that you sit in. The seats that face forward first are the best in my opinion, as being taken up the lift hill facing forwards leads you tilted forwards and downwards on the lift hill, meaning that your restraint, which is only an over-the-shoulder restraint, is keeping you in by itself, which is a very scary and, in my opinion, quite fun experience. The ride can be a little rough, but in my opinion, if you sit in the right seat and ride defensively, it can be a quite fun experience. However, I did have a very rough ride on it this year, which is why I've taken it down in my rankings a little bit. At number 6 is the park's indoor launch coaster, Flight of Fear. This ride is a very good ride, which is a launched coaster that features 3 inversions and many good positive G moments. There's not too much airtime, but overall it's a good ride which is very forceful, and the corkscrew at the end has some good whip to it as well. It's a fun ride that I definitely recommend you check out, although if you're going to ride it, I recommend doing it at the beginning of the day, as the line for this can get quite long. And now, kicking off our top 5, we have Banshee coming in at number 5. Banshee is no longer my favorite B&M invert, as it's been surpassed by Raptor at Cedar Point. However, it's still a very fun ride. The inline twist is the best part with the amazing hang time, but the positives in the pretzel loop and the vertical loops are very fun as well, and the dive loop offers some good whip and forces. The first drop has some amazing yank in the back row, which is a very good experience to have on a first drop. I don't get why people say this ride isn't intense, as it's completely an amazing and intense ride experience with non-stop positive G-force up until the amazing hang time of the inline twist, and then finishing with a helix that adds some more amazing positive forces. Overall, I find this ride to be very intense and fun, which is why it's in the top 5 at the park. Coming in at number 4, we have the world's longest wooden coaster, the Beast. The Beast is an amazing ride. I put this at number 4 because of the amazing night ride that I got on my recent trip. When this ride is at night, there's just no telling where you are, other than the fact that you're going through an awesome ride layout, speeding through the woods behind Kings Island. This ride isn't too intense, but the amazing speed that it offers is something else, and the ride layout is great for a ride that was designed in the 1980s by the park itself. The helix at the end is truly one of the most intense experiences on a coaster, offering both sustained positives and sustained laterals at the same time. This is truly a legendary wooden coaster, which is why it's at number 4 on the list. Now, to quote the ride operators from our number 3 coaster, if you took the A out of the Beast, it would be spelled the best, and it would be the best wooden coaster if it weren't for Mystic Timbers. Mystic Timbers is truly an amazing ride. This was definitely the sleeper hit of my recent visit and my Winterfest visit. I used to think that this ride was boring and overrated after one ride in the middle row with no airtime room. However, I have gotten to experience this ride in the front as well as in the back, and with plenty of airtime room both times. And this coaster is truly something else. When you're sitting in the back, the whip on the first drop is intense and slams you with positives on the turn down. The ride is full of laterals, airtime, and positive Gs and just doesn't let up until it hits the brake run. This is one of the most intense wooden coasters I've ever been on, and it's truly an incredible experience. GCI really went all out when building this coaster, and it definitely deserves a top 3 spot. I almost put Mystic Timbers as number 2, but I just couldn't because of Orion. This is Kings Island's newest coaster, and it's a giga coaster, and what a giga coaster it is. The 300-foot drop is incredible, giving some insane airtime, and the ride just doesn't let up with its amazing elements. The speed hill offers great ejector airtime. The large hill offers some incredible floater airtime. The Orion's Belt Helix has some great positives, and the twisted airtime hill and the hill before the brakes have some great airtime on them as well. Each different element offers a different mix of forces, which mean this coaster has great variety and is overall a great all-around coaster experience. However, it could be longer, which is why I don't put it above number 1. And number 1 is, of course, Diamondback. Diamondback is the park's B&M hypercoaster, and it is just absolutely full of airtime. The sustained airtime on every single hill just hits different, and it's an amazing experience. Definitely try to sit towards the back of the train, as this offers the best sustained floater airtime. The front is also a good experience, which offers more strong airtime but less airtime overall. In my opinion, the back is the best for this ride. Every single hill on this ride just gives more and more airtime, and it's just incredible to ride this ride. I love this ride so much, I rode it 9 times in a row on my most recent visit. It's truly incredible, and that's why it's the best coaster at Kings Island and currently my number 2 coaster that I've ridden. Thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like, as that helps me out quite a bit with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you enjoyed the video, then make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for more great coaster content just like this. Also, leave a comment stating what your favorite roller coaster at Kings Island is. As always, thanks for watching. ZZ Coasters, signing off.